Welcome back to Joe's Toolbox Exchange. Today we're going to meet a customer who actually purchased a box in the past, model number KMP1022. It's a double bank masters with a power drawer. He's bringing us that box back and getting the exact same box in another color because he wanted that one as it's Arctic silver and it matches his garage cabinets a lot better. This will be the third time I believe we've dealt with him, so we'll probably deal with him again because I know he's looking for a stainless top with power banks on it, so I'm sure when we find that he'll be back to switch them out. I would like to mention the giveaway now. This will be the second giveaway we've done. This giveaway is going to be for a $300 Klipsch speaker, the KMC1. These are wireless Bluetooth speakers. I really like it. The one on the top is the one that we use here in the shop. The one we're giving away is going to be the one below, new in the box. There's going to be a pin to top comment in this video to enter the giveaway, and that ends on September 14th, which is a Sunday, a couple weeks away, and we'll announce the winner on Monday the 15th, the day after. The customer that's bringing this box back actually did wrap part of the drawers. He wanted them to be a closer match to the cabinets in his garage because the box he bought from us is gloss black. And he actually did some trim on the top of it, like a carbon fiber vinyl. It's pretty cool and it's not finished, so we are going to finish it off and we'll show that process. As we have wrapped boxes in the past and it's pretty simple. I think it looks great. He showed some photos of what it looks like, so I'm excited to see it. I know it'll look good, and I think more people should probably consider doing that, especially if you get a brand new box. Wrapping this top edge with something like carbon fiber, it blends with most colors, or just getting a color that complements your box really protects that top edge as you get a lot of wear here. And the vinyl wrap is pretty cheap. You can wrap even a box of this size for less than $20 in vinyl wrap. Granted, it's not going to hold up forever, but even if it holds up for a couple years, I think it's a good investment. And when you go to sell your box down the road, if you peel it off, it's perfect underneath. And also a lot of people wrap the front of their drawers, as that's another common wear. And that's what this customer did, so we are going to show what that looks like. And we're going to show the interaction with them. We're probably going to cut it down to 2 or 3 minutes so it's not super long. I know that can be boring at times. And we're not going to show the cleaning process in this video. As the box is coming back, he only had for a couple months, so it's going to come back really clean. We'll just wipe it down in between the videos, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. I forgot that you said you wanted the Arctic silver. I'm sorry. I would have reached out right after you mentioned it.
I'm glad I honestly missed a section of time because I was wanting either white or silver. And I saw you had that white Epic, but it was too late.
Yeah.
And my wife probably wouldn't have been happy. That looks perfect.
Yeah, it's got the same. Does your box still have the top on it?
Yeah, so we were going to swap.
Slide perfect. And then did you match your key to another cart?
No.
Okay, so do you want these keys and I'll take whatever key you got for it?
That'll be perfect.
Sounds good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's a pretty one.
That's pretty.
That's Arctic silver, I think, also hides wear the best.
Yeah.
Out of every color. Extreme green's pretty good, but like you can see like that gloss black one there, they never look great.
Yeah.
Like yours is black now.
Yeah.
You just notice it in the sunlight when it hits it.
Any little thing.
Oh god.
Dust.
Yeah, the Arctic silver hides it pretty well.
It's impossible to keep dust off of, but perfect.
Should be easy.
I'll bring you another roll of it to finish it up because I did not have enough.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to finish it than it is going to be to take off, that's for sure.
I've got the new age cabinets.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Yeah, trying to match those. I finally got my lift installed, and
you might want to kick it that way. There you go. You're just barely going to hit this ramp.
You want to come up a little bit? Yeah, there we go.
Woo. Round two.
All right. Yeah, it's easier when it's the new one. Right?
Yeah, is the top screwed down?
No.
All right, ready. Yeah, I like to just kind of set it on the edge and then just slide it in.
Perfect. Wonderful.
That looks good.
Yes, sir.
A guy came one time, a return customer, he was bringing back a box.
Yeah.
And it broke free in the trailer. And when we got here, it was mangled.
Oh.
Wood, it'll slide if we just go like this.
Oh, yeah, fairly easy.
This stuff's slick.
There we go. Has business been pretty good? Everything
crazy
going
busy.
Well? Well, good.
Crazy.
Wonderful.
I think last week we had 7 of these things leave.
Wow, that's wonderful. Stainless and not as dinged up as that one.
Yeah. We'll find a better one for you.
Perfect.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you, buddy. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for everything.
Hey Trent, that's a cute sweater.
Thank you.
All right, so we got the box all cleaned up. It looks really great. It's almost the exact same condition that it left in. So if you want to come here and show, this is what I was talking about. The front of the drawers wrapped. The box was originally all glass black. As you can see, the sides of the drawers are still gloss black, but he did wrap it with a slate gray color. It's very similar to Snap-on Storm Gray. And then this top piece, if you want to show it from this top angle, he did carbon fiber on the top of the drawers. It looks really good. It's not hard to do, and it's pretty cheap. So if you guys want to take care of your box, I think this is one of the best ways to do it. It prevents wear, it's cheap, and it's pretty easy. So we're gonna get into that. He ran out of material about halfway through the job. He did bring us the rest of the material, so we have that now. There's still two drawers that need it. We're just gonna show one drawer as the process for them is all the same. So to begin, what you're gonna wanna do is you're just gonna wanna pull out your slide latch, or your lock and roll as Snap-on calls them. I'll put the part number for this vinyl wrap in the description. I believe it was like $12 per roll, and it's 20 feet. So for a box of this size, you need a little bit more than a roll. So you need like 2 rolls, but for a triple masters, you could probably still get away with 2 rolls. Each drawer, you know, is, you know, about 4 feet, So if you think, you know, 4, 16, and all the way down, there's gonna be a little over, I'd say probably 25 feet for this box, maybe closer to 30. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take the vinyl wrap. It's actually the exact length. That's why I recommend this stuff, because it's 2 inches, so it rolls perfectly. You don't have to trim it down. All you have to do is cut it to length. We already removed the slide latch, so I'm just gonna lay it all the way out. I like to cut it a little bit past the drawer so we can actually wrap it. I usually don't use rubbing alcohol in toolboxes as it's not the best for the paint, but in this scenario, it helps get it really clean so it adheres better. And I'm just gonna wanna wipe that down. As you can see, it's pretty clean, there's not much, but even just a little bit of debris in there will cause the vinyl wrap to bubble and not look well, and also it won't stick. Also, an important thing to note is you wanna get underneath that part in there, as that usually is pretty dirty, as no one really cleans that part of the box. And those slide latches collect grease when you're using them. So you want to get that out, and then it's actually going to roll over the back side of the drawer. So you're going to want to clean that back lip of it the best you can. The cleaner it is, the better it's going to stick. 3M does sell an adhesive that works really well for this. I believe it's made for it. And you can apply it on. It will leave a little bit of a residue when you go to take them off, so I'm not going to put them on in this scenario in case the customer doesn't want this feature. We can just remove it for them with not causing any extra hassle from the adhesive. And then the last spot that's really important is this lip right here. You can use a putty knife, or you can just get in there with your fingernails, but you want to get this edge clean because we're almost going to tuck it into that trim. You can take the trim off, but it's a pain. I really don't like taking off the trim as it damages it a lot. And you can see there's quite a bit of grease in there. So instead I'm just tucking it in there. And a lot of times when you take the trim off and you wrap it and put that trim back on, it ends up messing up the wrap anyway, so I would just leave the trim on. If you are going to wrap the entire box, it is pretty complicated to wrap some of these top pieces and roll it all in. You can do it. I've seen guys do it. It looks really good. I know a lot of wrap shops will wrap toolboxes, but that's beyond me. I don't have the patience to do all that. So we have the top lip of the drawer pretty clean. We have the piece cut to length. There is a protective vinyl on one side, or a plastic rather, and I like to take this off now because it just seems to get in the way. And then I also take the backing off the entire thing. With the drawer signs, it's easier to take it off in sections, and then once you have it on, kind of peel it from the back so it sits better. But when I'm doing the trim, or the top of the drawer rather, I'd rather just leave it. You also see a lot of guys wrap the trim on the boxes, and it usually looks great. Especially if you buy a box, you're not a huge fan of the color of the trim. This is a cheap way to fix it and also protect your trim. So I'm just using my fingernail to press it down into that groove behind the trim, so that way it doesn't want to get caught down the road. It's just that front lip we're getting right now. Okay, so once we're at this point, I just want to apply pressure to that top edge. It works easier if you work from the center out, as the stuff does want to bubble on you. And you can go back and clean up that front edge at the end also. The next step is I like to start right in the middle and kind of press it onto the top and then work that across. If you have a big box with a bunch of drawers, this is time consuming, but it's one of those things. A lot of times I'll wrap a drawer and then do another drawer another day and then so on. And then now that I have it, once again, I like to start in the middle and just kind of smooth it out. There's going to be little air bubbles in it, but something like this is easy to wrap as opposed to a big drawer, because the big drawer has a lot more room to collect air bubbles, but you see one there. Just be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to smash those air bubbles into it, or you will crease the vinyl and you'll ruin the piece. It'll never look quite right. This stuff is pretty forgiving though, so we got a little air bubble there. So I'm just going to want to get that back out. It's very similar to putting a phone screen on. That's always what it reminds me of, those phone protectors or screen protectors on a phone. And then now the top of your drawer is good. And I really want to get this part as smooth as I can now. All right, so I like to have a little bit, maybe ½ an inch overhang on each side, give or take. So I'm going to trim those down. This one's a little bit long and the other side's quite a bit long, so we'll get rid of those pieces. All right, if we're going to come around this side. So what I like to do on this edge here is where it stops, the edge of the box stops, I like to give it a little bit of a nick right here and then cut this one so it lines up with that side and pull that piece off. It's easy to wrap a gloss black box with carbon fiber because it blends in really well. So if you have a little bit of a gap somewhere on it, you're not going to notice. But be a little bit more meticulous with a color that contrasts, like Arctic Silver. Anywhere you notice any little bubbles. The next step, if you want to come around this side, you can show it easier. There's actually a pretty big gap in here between this top of the drawer. If you want to show right in here, between this top, you know, there's actually, so this is where we're going to end up rolling it into. So you don't have to cut it to fit in there because there is already a gap. Snap-on makes an aftermarket trim kit that does exactly this, that is carbon fiber, and it is super expensive. So I don't know, I like to promote buying used boxes, so it's a little bit hard in my mind to justify. Maybe you spend $1,500 on a toolbox and now you're spending $800 on a trim kit. I don't know, that's a lot of money. I think if you buy a brand new box, maybe it's easier to justify that added expense, but some of these add-ons add up to the price of the box overall. So the good deal you got isn't really that good if you end up spending all that money back on it. So I like to get my scissor right in the back of that cut, and then it works best if you cut it at an angle. If you cut it at an angle, it wants to roll under perfectly. And you can tuck it all the way up. You want to make sure this is really tucked up. If your hands are bigger, you might want to get in there with a like an O-ring pick or a seal pick, just to make sure that it's flat, because that slide latch will rub in there. So if it's hanging down and not correct, it'll bind up on that slide latch. And then on this one, I follow it back to the back of the box. So now, the reason I roll it is because this is the area that gets caught the most. So now it's not going to get caught and want to peel as easily. And before I do roll that side down, I'm going to come over to the other side and do the exact same thing. And then come back from here and And cut that same angle into it. A little bit off. So now we have the edges rolled. We'll get in there better at the end, really seat it. And then, same as before, I want to start in the middle. This is definitely the hardest part, trying to get this part to roll. So trying to give it that form here. And these edges we'll leave to the end. Now that we have that, we'll start right in the middle and just roll it in. And you can just feel if you start to get an air bubble, just stop, because it will sometimes want to crease, as vinyl has a lot of flexibility, so you can definitely stretch and deform the material. And that feels perfect. And this is also, I like this 2-inch wide because it does wrap all the way around the back. If it's just sitting on the top, when you go to get your drawer and pull it open, your fingers will rub that edge and it'll peel it over time. But it's pretty rare your hands are actually up inside of the box pulling from the insides, so you're not going to notice it peel as fast. Eventually it will peel, just like the wrap on a car, but you can usually get a couple years out of these. And then now we can fold that edge in. And if you want to show in here, you see how that just slid right in there. So now it's all the way down against the back. And I'll do the other side. And like I said, if you're going to be doing this, I would use some sort of adhesive prep like 3M's. It will just help it stick a lot better. But when I'm selling a box, I try to do as minimal of that stuff as possible. And same with greasing. I don't grease a lot of the slides because I don't know exactly what form of grease they want to use down the road. And I don't, you know, if you use a wet lube and a dry lube together, it creates like a toothpaste effect. So there's a lot of stuff like that. If it was my own box I was keeping, I would do things sometimes differently than as if I was selling them. You know, a lot of guys might not like this and they just want to take it off completely. Or maybe they want to spend the money and buy a true carbon fiber trim kit. And I don't want to make that process on them really hard, trying to go back and take all that off. Now on this side, if you want to come show this, it's a little bit different because they actually have a catch for your slide latch, which sits here. So there's actually a little bit of a window here that sits. If I have a knife, easiest way to do this is with a knife and just to cut around that little window. But still leave enough material that you can actually wrap it back up into it. You know, the goal is to have as much of those corners covered as possible because that's really where it gets its strength from. If you just had it flat there instead of wrapping this edge, it would peel off really quick. So then now you can see there's no rub at all. This end's definitely more important than that end if you're concerned about the latches, because that end, it doesn't even go all the way to the end. It stops right about here, so it's not even going to interfere with it. And that's what you want. You want it to have, just double check at the end. You want it to be able to, sometimes if you don't do it correctly, you'll notice it want to bind up. You want this to be unnoticeable that this material is there. So when it shuts, it still shuts the exact same. You don't want it to get hung up. If you have too much material there, which I have noticed with snap-ons trim kits, they actually crimp over the edges. A lot of time it binds up with those things. So the drawers will either stay jammed open or stay jammed shut, and they don't really work. That's one of my complaints with the snap-ons trim kits for sure. And we can show that in another video. We've installed them quite a few times. A lot of times guys will get those trim kits and they'll have, you know, 2/3 of them done and they get bored because it is time consuming to add those on because they're actually adhesive and they're metal, so you have very little play in the material. It has to be exactly right. And if you tweak it a little bit and try to remove it, it usually bends it and ruins the pieces. So overall, if you want to get a shot from the top here, I think it turned out really great. I'll do this last one off video before we get it posted, but You know, it's a cheap modification to your box to really protect it. If you have an older box, it really brings it, you know, a little bit of a modern look to it. You know, I've seen like the red boxes with carbon fiber on it look really cool. The black complements it pretty well, especially if you have a black trim. If you have like a red Masters with black trim, you throw the carbon fiber on, it looks really good. They sell the same material in a lot of colors though, so you can buy black or you can buy white, whatever color you want to do. I just think carbon fiber blends the most with most colors, especially, you know, it looks good with gray and it looks good with black, which is why we use it the most. I usually don't go out of my way to add these to boxes because I think I want customers to know exactly what they're buying, and sometimes you can use this to hide damage, and I don't want people to assume that these are beat up underneath. This box, as you can see, this drawer right here, there's a couple marks, but it's really nice. I mean, as far as gloss black goes, this is really nice. So it's not like we were hiding damage here, and the customer had already gotten halfway done with it, so we did go ahead and finish it. I think it looks good, but on most boxes here, on my own boxes, we wrap them a lot. On boxes that we sell, I usually don't, just because I don't want people to think that there's damage underneath, and there probably is damage underneath. That's just the nature of a box, so I don't want them to buy it and then a year later peel it off and notice a scratch or something and hide it. That's the same reason you guys put stickers on your box. Truthfully, you know, a lot of guys will have a dent, you'll put a sticker over it. That's why it's really scary to buy a box covered in stickers, because almost always there is damage underneath. Not always people are trying to hide the damage, but just they don't want to look at a scratch every day, so they'll put a cool sticker over it. Maybe a couple years later, it being one of their kids sell it, or their wife sells it, or maybe even they're selling it. They just forget that damage is there. And then when you go to take the stickers off, you notice really big dents and scratches. So that's the reason we always take all of the stickers off, so you can see exactly what you're buying. I know that this box was perfect underneath, or very close to it, because we were the original ones who sold it, and I even have photos from back then. He wrapped it the same day and was in his home garage, so it's not like it got any additional wear. He just wanted it to match his cabinets, like I said earlier in the video. So I hope this is something you guys consider. Like I said, I'll pin down the top comment will be to enter the giveaway, and then in the description I'll have a link to this Amazon vinyl wrap. I think it's like $12 a roll. You'll probably need 2 of them. If you're doing a double classic, the small ones, you'll get away with 1 roll. All carts will be one. So I hope to see you guys again in the next video, and thank you for watching.